There I am. Okay. Sorry, that was unexpected. I hope everyone's having a good day. Um, this should be a return to form in preparation for October. Um, and yeah, it's I will say, so this week's book is, it's kind of everything I wanted out of Violet Maiden of Thorn, except the ending. The ending is still better than Violet Maid of Thorn in my opinion, but it's not quite so 10,000 foot view, so I don't spoil anything. Especially the ending. The last 5-ish chapters, um, give the feeling of, oh, aren't we clever? And it doesn't really break any of the rules, but um, it's not as clever as it thinks it is, basically. But still, I will say, if you enjoyed Violet Maid of Thorns, um, or if you were like me and enjoyed it like up to about the halfway point and then were like, I hate everything that this is doing past this point, this book is much better. It's a fairly light read. I'll get into why that's not entirely true. But it is a relatively light read. I had a lot of fun. So let's just get into it. Today we are talking about Omen of Ice. And all the problems I had finding the cover. No. There we go. As per usual, this is meant to entertain and inform. I don't hold any of the rights to the works described, and I hope you all enjoy. So, as I said, this is Omen of Ice by Jose Accardo. I'll get there in a second. So your publishing details. It was published in 2023 by Entangled Publishing, technically by Entangled Teen, but that is an imprint under Entangled Publishing. It is part of a series. It is book 1 of the Omen of Ice series. Now, book 2, if you use your Google Foo, book 2 was supposed to come out in 2024. It hasn't. I have found somewhere that says it was delayed to 2025. This is a book where I would be interested in reading the next. Mostly because of the characters more than the plot. I will say, so a lot of the modern books that I read, and by modern I don't mean a modern setting, I mean things that were written within the last 5 years, are a toss-up between do I like the plot or do I like the characters, because very rarely do I like both. This one, the plot is fine. Like I said, up until about like the last 5 chapters, and then I'm like, alright, here's where we're going with this. The characters are far more up my alley. At least I'll get into some of what I see as problems. You may not. Again, that's why these are book recommendations, not like book reports or book reviews. I'm not saying if books are objectively good or bad. It's just here's my opinion on them. Omen of Ice. This is the original cover by L.J. Anderson and Mayhem Cover Creations. For the record, if you want to look it up, Mayhem Cover Creations is how to look it up. And they have been creating covers since 2011. If you look at their covers, they've got a vibe. I couldn't find anything on the individual or anything more about this creator, but yeah. So about the author. Again, let's talk about authors who we can't find information on. It's fine. They're allowed to have private lives. I am not upset by this. It does mean I can provide very little information. So you know what I know. Um, they were they are, correction, they're still alive. The author of both the Denizen and the Darker Agency series. So those are two other series, and they were accepted into the Culinary Institute of America, and chose to do writing instead. I will say, and I'll bring it up here because it doesn't really fit anywhere else. If you look up Giacardo, there has been another subcategory that has been created since the last time I went and actively book browsed and paid attention. So in addition to the ones I grew up with, so children's, middle zone, teen, and adult is how it was when I was very small. And then by the time I hit high school, YA had been added. So you had children's, middle zone, teen, YA, adult. Now there is also NA, which is after YA and stands for new adult. And I'm a little confused about how new adult and young adult are different. Because the argument has been said, that I have seen, is that Omen of Ice is technically a YA trying to be an NA. And I'm just like, what's the difference? A young adult is older than a teen. I always, to my understanding, it fell into the college, basically. Your college age people. So 19 through 27 is YA. And then it's just adult, which covers everyone else. So I'm guessing new adult is either eating into some of that YA space, I guess 25 maybe, or it's the 30 to 35 demographic. Let's see if I can look this up right quick, because this was something that kind of bothered me when I was looking at this, because why is this even a thing? Okay, so also I am very sorry. I've been told my keyboard is very loud, so I'm very sorry if my keyboard is loud. Oh, I don't want the AI breakdown. Let's see. Okay. School library journal. Let's see what we got. And I'm just looking for a quick definition. I'm not gonna sit here and analyze. Let's see. Let's see. YA is 17. Yes. Let's see. La, 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 la. But I've never even heard of this category. This is what I'm asking about. Yeah, I swear, if the difference is just that they're romance novels, then I am completely out of this loop. Let's see. Oh. Okay. So we're phasing out. That's dumb. Okay. So what it looks like, and to be fair, um, it may just be the things I can find. Let's see, blah blah blah. What? When did YA become teen? Okay. Alright, so it looks like... Alright. So, fun detour. It looks like that the definitions I grew up with have just flat out shifted, and teen is out, teen is now YA. So, children's, middle zone, YA, NA, which is the old YA, and then adult. I really wish we'd stop reinventing the wheel. There's nothing wrong with the way the wheel turns. Oh well. I guess they can call it whatever they want. I don't really care. I've always been an advocate for reading books you like rather than books that are quote unquote for your age group. So if you like a book, I don't care what age it falls into. So, what do you need to know about Omen of Ice? It has an alternating perspective, a far more balanced one than many of our others. It is about the Fae and the Fairy. I do put both on here because you've got some creatures that are not technically Fae, fall under the broader category of Fairy. Or if you want to think in the old world terms of fair folk, you've got a lot of fair folk. It is post-magic apocalypse. It is very interesting. I'm sure I've run a post-magic apocalypse before, but I can't think of it right now. So I'm gonna stick with this is interesting. And it is simultaneously fast and slow. Also, my tracking is going off. Hang on. Let me see if I can fix that. Is that better? That looks better. Okay. So, your main characters, because you have an alternating perspective, you have two. You have Keltanya, who is a human druid assigned the great honor of being the bodyguard of a Fae of the Winter Court. The Winter Court is one of four, so think of your traditional seasonal courts. And they are the ones that have good relation with the druids. The druids are the only humans, for the record. That'll come up later, but I've told you now. Valen, or Valen, 6 of one, half a dozen either. He is said Fae, who doesn't want a new bodyguard. He has a Fae bodyguard at the beginning. He doesn't want to switch to a druid bodyguard. He's also a prince. I equally enjoy their perspectives, although sometimes I get frustrated for different reasons. Valen is probably the more fun, just straight up the more fun read, his perspective. But I do enjoy both. So it is an alternating perspective. They get a chapter at a time. Most of those chapters are roughly the same length. So it doesn't feel like, oh yeah, they're alternating chapters, but all of her chapters are a page and all of his chapters are 4 pages. No, they're moderate length chapters. They alternate back and forth at every other chapter. There are time jumps. I shouldn't have to say this, but it has been coming up a lot lately. There are logical time jumps and very little overlap in the chapters. There might be a paragraph of overlap, and by that I mean wherever the previous chapter ended, you get like the first paragraph is literally the other character's reaction to what just happened. When the time jumps happen, you don't jump back when you go to the other character. It keeps moving forward. There are times I wish it didn't switch perspectives. But that's mostly because there are large events that happen, and almost every single time the large event happens to one of them, like Keltana, and big thing happens that ends her chapter, and you start with his perspective, and what I really want to know is her reaction to what just happened. And because the chapters don't go back, you don't get her reaction to it. Not immediately. Not like her reaction in the moment. Without spoiling some of the big things in the book. This is going to be interesting to try to talk around. So it is a fae and fairy. This is pretty self-explanatory. It is fae as in fair folk. They are largely elemental based off of the 4 seasons. And then fairy, think of any mythological creature from Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Poland, that area, Germany. Those general fairy tale creatures, both the benevolent and the well, not even the malevolent, just the unkind. They are tricksters. They're very flippant. They don't like debts, and so all the old fair folk tropes. Fae only fall in love once. They're always down for a good time, so like they'll sleep around and have fun. But love is a very important thing. It is a one and done for them. And kind of a harsh difference between that and humanity. I will say my favorite character in this whole book doesn't show up until like page 212. Something like that. I love him. He's the best part of this book, and he is not in it enough. So whenever the sequel comes out, I want him to be in it more. I desperately hope he is. But there is a fairy character who shows up past the halfway mark, and he is absolutely delightful and kind of dangerous in a way that a lot of the other fairy haven't been up until then. So because the fairy respect the druids, like, yeah, there's dangers. Clearly, she was hired to be a bodyguard, but there's danger and there's danger. Excuse me. There's danger because your inherent nature is dangerous. What you are is dangerous. And then there's dangerous because you have a sword and a stabby thing and have a target. So, stabby target danger is the common danger. My favorite character is the other kind. He is dangerous because of what he is. Bless him. It is a post-magic apocalypse, so the setting is probably one of the more interesting things. It is a post-magic war and post-magic drain. So when I say post-magic apocalypse, I mean it is kind of in the middle of magic fallout. The Fae are going crazy because of they have lost their magic. The whole world, like natural plant life, is devastated without it. There's a tiny little pocket community of druids. They're the only humans that are left. And I will say it here. The setting is more interesting than 90% of the characters in this book. The concept of magic post-apocalypse, post-apocalyptic magic, post-magic apocalypse. Like, I don't know how you would like to phrase this, but it is a post-apocalyptic magic thing, world. Not a technological apocalypse. And it's so much more interesting than 90% of the characters, because most of your side characters, you meet them and you deal with them in the space of part of a chapter. Or they're a little bit more defined, but they're kind of like paper dolls. Which sounds really rude because I do enjoy the book, but they're very flat and two-dimensional, and any like tricks or twists are kind of like putting a new doll outfit on. So it's you take the old one off, you put the old one on, and look how mysterious and wonderful it is, and you didn't see that coming, and ha ha ha. And that's fine. Stories can be written that way. Not everything has to be elaborate, but it's excuse me. Don't go into this thinking, oh, what a interesting and robust cast of characters. No, you've got 3 or 4 really well fleshed out characters, and then you've got a really interesting setting. And like the magic of the world is interesting too, because post-apocalypse, post-magic apocalypse. Because it shows up so early in the book, I will say, the druids have like a remnant of their magic left. And it's like tied into like dirt and blood, and doesn't feel anything like most fantasy D&D type druids. It doesn't feel like that. It kind of feels like that's what was lost, is the cool high fantasy critical role, Keyleth turning into all the cool things, druid magic. Yeah, that's not the magic in this book. It is simultaneously fast and slow. This is literally just what it says. There isn't a faster perspective, because both of them do a lot of things, both independently and together. When it's just grooving along, it is great. Some parts of this, you can just be turning pages and turning pages and turning pages, and then something will happen, or we'll meet someone, or Valen will get stuck in his head, or Keltania will start doubting herself, and it's like, oh no, we're gonna be here for a while. And yeah, we're moving the plot forward, but we have slowed from just tootling along to just a snail's pace. I will say, As far as really fun female sword wielding characters go, um, she's not at the bottom of my list, but she's not at the top. Like, I'm gonna get to some that are at the top, and I think all of them are female from the ones I pulled, but we're gonna get to a couple that are at the top of my list, and she doesn't hold a candle. Like, she's fun ish. She is more of the straight man to the more wild and carefree Valen, but he's a fae, and that's kind of how that works. Fae are either incredibly slow and sedate because nothing matters, or they are absolutely wild and free because nothing matters. Humans are very much the I only have X number of years to live, let me live. I will say my recommendations are a little sparse this time around. So, recommendations for Fae and Fairy. We have The Squire's Tale by Gerald Morris that does involve the Fair Folk. The entire series plays with this in that it deals with Avalon and the Lord of Avalon, in addition to King Arthur. So while it is about Arthurian legend and Arthurian knights, there is a large part of it that also deals with Avalon and the Fae and like that kind of stuff. Tithe by Holly Black. I have not read this in a long time. So full disclosure, I have read Tithe and Valiant and whatever the third one is. Ironside? Might be Ironside. It has been a long time. I read those either... Well, I can actually... Hang on. When did Tithe come out? Hang on. When did Tithe come out? Sure. – 2002. Is that the earliest? Also, why do the covers... Yeah. Yeah. So if that came out in 2002, I probably read it in 03 or 04. Well, let me see. When did the next one come out? The next one in the series, darling. Oh, yeah, because... Yeah, that one was already out. So, yeah, 05, probably 05 or 06 is probably around the time that I read Tithe. So it's been a while, but I do remember enjoying it. It deals, if I remember correctly, I might be a liar. It takes place under the hill, but it is in a park, I want to say. I don't know if it's in Central Park, but I want to say it's something like that. It's some green space like that, but it takes place under the hill. And then The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd Jones. The Fae is a less important part of this, but they are mentioned and they are a thing. I have done a whole stream for The Drowned Woods. So that is the one with all the Welsh mythology. One of the ones with all the Welsh mythology. And that one's a lot of fun. That one is also a bit more of an adventure. If I remember correctly, Tithe is a kind of political romance with fairies. Oh, that's the other thing. Omen of Ice. There is there is a romantic angle, but it's not the whole point. So if romance is what you're absolutely looking for, you'll find it, but it won't be the whole point. But it's also not there. Nope, nothing's happening. There we go. And then Swords and Magic, but shush. Elena, the First Adventure by Tamora Pierce, is the first book in the Song of the Lioness Quartet. It follows Elena and her wanting to become a knight. There is magic involved in that. I will let you discover that for yourself. But I enjoy all of Tamora Pierce's magic because most of it is interesting and unusual. So, for example, Elena takes place in Tortal, and she has an entire set of series. There are multiple series that take place in the world of Tortal, and most of them have the ones that focus on magic focus on different aspects of the magic. So like you've got magic with animals, you've got magic with ghosts, you've got magic with like sight and scrying and stuff like that, healing magic, battle magic, and they're all very different, and almost all of them have some kind of cost, but not like, well, I mean, it can kill you, but that's not the point. Graceling by Kristen Cashore is another one where main character, lady, sword, she should be nobility, but because she has, like, she's exceptionally good at killing things, she's basically the brute squad. And it's kind of awful for her. Not because she doesn't... So she's good at it and takes pride in being good at it, but it's also like, is this all I am, basically? The Deed of Paxenarian, which is kind of evil of me, because that is in fact a whole trilogy, by Elizabeth Moon. Your main character is Paxenarian. She is a wonderfully flawed delight that goes through major character growth. It is a magic light, so very much magic, but shush. It is a fantasy military tactics. Most of the politics that takes place in it has to do with the military aspect of it. So Pax is, at the very beginning of the first book, runs away to join a mercenary company. So that kind of thing. So there's like tactics and battles, and if you enjoy looking at like army maps, it's a lot like that, just you've kind of got people. So there's a lot of descriptions of, oh, and this mercenary troop was here, and they were flanking so-and-so, and they were strong. This troop is strong with archers, and this troop is strong with pikes, and this one is an all-arounder, and I adore it. Deed of Paxenarian, highly recommend. It is the next to slowest of these four. Now for the series that I can't finish. but I know for a fact that a lot of people like it and that it does fit the qualifications of swords and magic, but shush. Although the magic is a bit of a bigger deal, is The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. It's slow. It's slower than Tolkien. It's like pulling teeth. I think I would rather reread Walden than attempt to read The Wheel of Time again. But that's because it's that slow. If you like a slow read, and there are people who do, this is the book for you. Do you like fantasies? Do you like slow reads? Do you like epic sagas that are many, many books long and the author died while writing them and someone else had to finish it? This is the series for you. It is not the series for me. I will say, I think there was a TV show that was made at some point. Don't watch that. Stick to The Wheel of Time. I do think if you want it broken up into more manageable parts, I think that the books were broken into like 3 books each and sold as children's books for a while, so you might be able to find them that way still. I remembered seeing Robert Jordan in like the children's section and trying to figure out why it was there, and I realized it was only part of The Wheel of Time and not like the whole first book. Oh, and before anyone mentions that there are other fairy and fae books, of course there are. There's Gail Carson Levine has a whole bunch of fairy stuff. Holly Black has more fairy books than just that. I know that, but these are the ones I've read. And they're more of the trickery and that kind of fae than cute little fairies or just like sexy fae. Which I guess if that's what you're looking for, you can find that yourself. You don't want me to recommend that, I would not be able to. So that is Omen of Ice. Like I said, oh, you see nothing. Hang on. Ah. Oh, jeez. I do have my plan for October already. All planned out. Except I can't click on it for some... Why? Why can't I click on it? Hang on, guys. Yeah. Okay, so the plan for October, without spoiling anything. No spoilers. The plan for October is to do a book that I have not read before, but I have been holding on to for spooky season. An audiobook that I have not read before and have been holding on to for spooky season. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. And a special third option that I do already have planned, but it will be for the 30th, so the day before Halloween. And it will be appropriately spooky. So yes, the second will be a book, the 16th will be an audiobook, and the 30th will be something else. So that is the plan for October. Like I said, I already have everything lined up. I know what I'm doing. I have almost everything already. There's a couple of bits I need to get. But yeah, so look forward to that in October. They should all be a little spooky. I don't so both the book and the audiobook I haven't read before, but I've held on to them specifically for spooky season, and they should be appropriately spooky, and if they're not, well, I'll have read something new and can have recommendations for you. And then the other thing will be spooky. So be prepared for that. And I think that's it. Um, it's a shorter one today, but I do recommend Omen of Ice. Like I said, definitely more than Violet Made of Thorns. Um, it should be getting a sequel sometime next year, hopefully. Please write a sequel so that my favorite character comes back, even though he's not either of your two perspective characters. But yeah. Oh, excuse me. Hopefully you will all have a good night, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Night all.